Hi, I'm Arthur Miltner, and I'm the proverbial man behind the mirror. I'm the one whose blog you've been reading for the past 3 months or so, and this is my final entry here. Things look a little different, as I'm sure you can tell, and they're going to sound a little different too. This is a reflective entry, and I wanted to get to see you face to face at least once, and I wanted to take a little bit more of a casual tone here. Since we're not doing analysis, I thought just me talking to you would be more appropriate. I want to cover just a few things today. One of those is my feelings on how this blogging experience went, and one of those is my thoughts on the Outbreak narrative, my closing thoughts there, because that was the initial draw of this blog. As well as that, I'm going to leave my email in the area below this video, so that if you're at all curious in my artistic interests or my art, you can contact me, as I know I let that bleed into the blogs a lot. So if anything caught your eye, let me know and I'll tell you more about it. Let's start by talking about multimodality. For the most part, I'm really happy with it. I had a premise that I was excited about, looking at art analysis in the context of the Outbreak narrative, and I stuck with that, and I thought for the most part it was integrated pretty well into my discussions and into the blog on the whole. There were times when it was difficult to fit it in, such as in blog draft 4, where I was already analyzing a novel, but for the most part I think it fit really well, and for entries like 5 and 6, I was pretty much just able to analyze a piece of art that I was really interested in. That said, the electronic elements I think are probably the weakest. Tone-wise, I decided to go really formal with my writing, and while I was really comfortable writing that way, and I think that my style was pretty consistent and pretty strong, it meant that I wasn't as comfortable including a lot of hyperlinks or GIFs or things that are really evocative of the internet. So the electronic elements might have fallen by the wayside a little bit, but they were sacrificed for a strong tone that I was really comfortable cultivating. And because of that comfort that I had in writing that way, I think that my analysis came out really well. My goal in each entry wasn't just to analyze some piece of art or talk about a concept that we talked about in class. I really wanted to further my definitions of things in each entry. This happened most with the Outbreak narrative, where near the end of most of my entries, as most of my entries were discussing the Outbreak narrative, you saw me trying to expand the definition of it. Oh, so because we talked about this in this entry, I feel that the Outbreak narrative is something that you can apply to all art, or because we talked about this in this entry, the Outbreak narrative is something that is intrinsic to stories of disease, things like that. And I'm really proud that I was able to pull that off, and I think I did pull that off. Speaking of the Outbreak narrative, I'm really happy with my discussion of it. I feel that I was able to really successfully evolve, if not the concept of the Outbreak narrative, my understanding of it. And I think that that evolution flowed really well. From entry to entry, I was able to take what I'd proven in the last entry, or at least proven to myself in the last entry, and expand upon that. So in the first entry, for instance, I talk about wanting to use it as an artistic framework. In the second entry, I take it and do that and say, look, it works. It's an artistic framework that you can use in any art, even if it's not particularly about disease. And I'm really happy about that. I only wish that I'd gotten it to work with a Shawshank Redemption. As it is, that entry is the only one that doesn't really fit the Outbreak narrative evolution in the blog, and that was unfortunately just a result of it not being what I wanted it to be when I first started. I'd gotten into it planning to have a Hope is Contagious discussion, and it just didn't work. Ultimately, I'm just really thankful to anyone who's read this far and to anyone who understands what I'm talking about in this video. I actually have another blog project, but it's under a pen name and I don't want to share that here, so we'll just say goodbye knowing that maybe we'll cross paths again someday. It's been a real pleasure. Goodbye.